Hi there, Dawn McVey here. Today we're going to talk about layering inks on Kraft cardstock. It's a really fun technique and I can't wait for you to see. Let's take a look. Okay, so the thing we're going to discuss today is a technique that I'm sure you've seen multiple times before. It's one I've done several times and I know I'm certainly not the only one, but it's one that I thought it would be a fun thing for you to do today for Makeup Monday challenge because it will allow all of you to participate and to try your hand at this technique yourselves. So the idea is if you stamp for instance, a bright red ink on white cardstock, you get the true representation of that actual red color. But if you were to stamp red on Kraft cardstock, the Kraft sort of dilutes the color and it alters whatever color you stamp on it and gives it more of a warm, earthy tone. If that's what you love and what you're going for, that's awesome. But for this particular challenge, we're going to try and stamp on Kraft cardstock, but we want to achieve a brighter, more accurate color. And so to do that, we'll stamp our images first with white ink. In this case, I'll be using Paper Trace Fresh Snow ink. You stamp the ink first, the white ink first, and then you stamp your images again in a color directly over the top of the white. Here's a card I did some time back using this technique, and you can see I stamped the flowers and the leaves in, can you tell, in white first. You can see sort of the shadows over here. And if you slightly offset your images just a bit, you get a really pretty shadow effect, which I think just adds to the detail and the beauty of the card. So that is something that I always try and do on purpose. If you don't like that, if you don't want to have that sort of shadow effect, you can certainly stamp them straight on. So that is what we are going to do today. To get started, I have a piece of Kraft cardstock. And I'm going to be using the Painted Poinsettias stamp set. I would like to make a Christmas thank you note. And you know me, I happen to love just about any flower set. So making a thank you card with poinsettias will just be perfect for Christmas. And I still get to stamp flowers, which I love. So I'm going to stamp this first image right on the Kraft cardstock. Wipe that off. I like to do all of the white stamping first just because that ink is really it's a bit messy and you can wipe it all up with one wet wipe easy and then move on. It kind of leaves a little bit of ink all over the block. So rather than have to clean that up a bunch of different times, just do all the white at once. There's our second flower first. So the next thing we're going to do, we've stamped the large solid images, is we want to add we want to stamp those directly over the top, and then we're going to add the detail images on top of that in additional colors. So for this first one, I'm going to use some Raspberry Fizz on this big large flower. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to go to the nursery during the holidays and see the, well, all of the flowers that they have in stock. Notice that I'm trying to stamp that slightly askew. Sorry, my head just bumped the camera. It does peel off a little bit of the ink, but we're not going to worry about it because we're going to keep layering right over the top of this, so it's not going to be a big deal once we get all the layers in place. Anyway, if you've ever had the benefit of going to the nursery, our nursery here in town, there's a couple of big ones that have, I don't know how many, 20 or 30 or 40 varieties of poinsettias. And they are literally all different shades of pinks and reds and whites. It's so much fun to see. It's so inspiring. And it's sort of become a holiday tradition for Bartley and me to go to the nursery and pick out some new poinsettias for the holiday season, and I just get so excited when I see all those different colors. So I like to stamp my poinsettias in a variety of pinks and reds because I know how pretty they are in real life in all those different tones. So next we're going to go in with the detail images over the top. Again, I'm stamping in Pure Poppy. This is going to go over the Large Raspberry Fizz poinsettia. Keep bumping that camera. I'm sorry about that. Make sure I get this lined up just right. There we go. It's getting good. Don't you just love multi-level, multi-layer stamps? I just love them. They add so much detail. And while we're at it, because I'm excited about that first one, let's go ahead and stamp the top layer, which is going to be Scarlet Jewel. This Scarlet Jewel layer is the very top vein layer. And that flower is finished. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our leaves. We have to stamp the layers over the top of what we already have first. So I'm going to do that with Ripe Avocado ink. I'm sorry, New Leaf ink. This is the one large leaf. I'm going to slightly offset it. Okay, I stamped all of that New Leaf layer, and now I'm going to go back in with Simply Chartreuse for the next layer. And now I'm stamping the last layer on the leaves with Ripe Avocado ink. And the last thing I'm going to do is add my sentiment. I've got a thank you from the Thank You Kindly stamp set. I'm going to use this one here. And I'm going to stamp it in Smoky Shadow. And then just below that, I've got the For the Gift sentiment. That's part of the Painted Poinsettia set. I'm going to add that just below here. There we go. Now I have a card base that's white cardstock, and along the bottom I stamped some background basic sheet music. And there you have it, layered inks on Kraft cardstock. So I hope you're feeling inspired to do some stamping of your own. If you'd like to play along with this week's challenge, be sure to head over to Nicole Hetty's blog, where you can leave a link to your project so we can all see your take on this week's challenge. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day. This has been Dawn McVey with Make It Monday.